Hi, I'm Bob and welcome to Accelerator. I want to create some graphics that I can use on news style videos. You know, like the anchor sitting at the news desk and they've got the little icon and the scrolling news ticker and all that kind of jazz. I'll be using CapCut to put the video together, and they do have some templates in there under text and then text templates and then the news category, and they're close, but I can never seem to get them customized quite the way I want them for exactly what I have in mind. For instance, something like this would be okay along the bottom. This would normally be like the title, I guess, of what we're talking about. But then I need a ticker to go with it, and I might even want the ticker to be a part of this. These templates are good if they look good to you and you just want to change the words that are in there. But you run into things like with this one, where if I wanted to change breaking news to news now or some other wording, well, that's part of the graphic, so that won't work. And if I want to split this down into its parts to change specific things, well, that gets really weird. Sometimes you can right-click on it and you'll have the option to separate. It's not ideal, and in this case, in these that I'm looking at right now, it's not even an option. So for now, I'm going to leave CapCut. I'm going to come over to Canva and create some of those graphics in a way that's a little bit more flexible for me. So I'll start with custom size, and here in my recents, I have 1920 by 1080. That's good because even though my graphics aren't going to be nearly that big, this gives me kind of the size of a video so I can see what it looks like in relation. I think the first thing I want to do is come over to Elements, and up here in the search, we'll search for News Anchor. Let's look under Photos first. I'm looking for something like this to frame where I'm going, but I was hoping to get to this sort of stuff. Here we go. Special report, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to crop this in because I'm not going to use this image. I really just want it there for reference to make sure I don't forget anything really useful as I'm putting this together. And our journalist here that is delivering the news, I'm not going to be keeping him either. He's just there to help me see how my sizing and whatnot works. I think we'll put this maybe up here for now. That'll work great. All right, so we need a couple of things. We need this box for the title. Let's go ahead and grab a shape, drag it down, maybe to about there, and that. We'll put it across the whole screen for now. Make it kind of about that size. The background of that box for now, let's go ahead and make that white. And we weren't quite going all the way across. So let's fix that. There we go. Great. All right, let's add some text to that. I just typed in some placeholder text here. In fact, we're not even going to keep any of this text. I'm just using it here while I'm creating so that I can kind of remember what this is and see what it's supposed to be. So we'll just zoom that all the way up. Oh, I got a typo. Looks like my fingers don't know how to spell believe. Should have put the I before the E. There we go. I'm not going to worry too much with how this looks. I will go ahead and make it capital, and let's go ahead and make it bold. And now we've made it too big, so we'll shrink it down a little bit. If I'm going to end up using this font, then it looks like I probably want to have my little background title deal a little bit shorter, but I think they tend to use a taller, less wide font for this kind of thing. I'm not going to spend half a day searching for that font right now. I'm just going to take that to right about there. After all, it's just a placeholder. This is what my title would look like, but I don't want it going all the way across the screen. I think I need another little box over here, so I'm just going to come over to Elements, click Shape, bring this down, put it right about there. We're going to make that a little bit taller than the title. Then I'll go ahead and drag this title background over a little bit. Now let's move the text for the title over. It'll start about there. Now this color is not going to work for my news, so let's switch that up. Let's go ahead and make that my color orange because what I'm putting on here really doesn't matter too much. So I think this will be where like the station ID or the logo or whatever would be. So maybe that's what I should do. Let's just put the Accelerator logo in there. I'll come over to Brand, grab my logo. Wow, that's not too big. All right, let's shrink that way down. Maybe even about there. And now the orange background wipes out my big orange circle. So we'll switch the color of this box. Let's add another little bit of text in here. And this I probably will end up keeping. This will be part of the graphic. So I want to pay a little bit more attention to how I put this together. I'm going to switch the font that I use for Accelerator. And let's see, I think we're going to need to widen this out a little bit, give everything some room, duplicate our news. How about that? All right, it's centered. Let's make it left align. That's looking better, I think. I don't know, it might be ugly as hell. You tell me. make some adjustments. I think we can bring this in a hair. Yeah, and then we probably need to move these in. All right, let's get our little title placeholder back in place. Better? All right, now, I'm not crazy about the now that I look at it, so let's get rid of that. Just drop news down here a bit. We'll get it lined up with the E. And maybe our news text should have a different color. What if it went orange? All right, I'm good with that. I can see I got a little bit of white where the title is poking out underneath my purpley icon holder container deal. I'm not going to get excited about that yet because we still got some more work to do and it may end up getting covered up when we put this ticker and whatnot on. Okay, if we're good with that, now I guess what we need next is our little line below this for the ticker. So let's go ahead and get that going. While I've got this text thing up, I'll go ahead and add some text for it. Drag that down. Stretch that out. That's for sure going to have to be bigger and bolder. Let's see, what size with this? 36. So this needs to be less than 36. Yeah, maybe we'll go 32. And I think we do want that in caps. We're going to need a background for that to ride on. So let's just grab another box from the shapes, drag it in. Needs to be way smaller. Stretch it all the way out. Now let's get our text here moved around a little bit and probably change the text color. It can be black. And in our little example, they've got breaking news as the label for their ticker. I don't know that I want breaking news, but we should probably have something there. So let's go ahead and bring our placeholder text in. Oops, that's not it. All right, good. We've already brought it in. Awesome. All right, let's go to elements. We'll grab another square. Let's change the color of that so that I can see what the heck I'm working with here. I'll just make it orange for now. And since I'm only going to have text in here, I can go ahead and just click in this shape and type the text. I'll just make that say latest, select that text, change the color of that text to white maybe. And we're going to need it to be bold and we're going to need it to be all caps. And apparently we need it to be a little bit bigger. Oh, now we made our box bigger. We don't want to do that. What if we italicize that? Yeah, that's going to work. I'm just going to say latest on that. This is a bit too wide. I'll bring that in to about there. And while I'm working on this, let me go ahead and change this text. There, that reminds me that ticker text is what I'm working with down there. Again, I don't have to worry too much with this. It's just to help me see what things are going to look like because I'm actually going to add this ticker text in CapCut and I'm going to add this title text in CapCut. So these two are just placeholders. And our example that we're looking at, what they've got going on, they've got a space between the title text and then the ticker text. I think I want mine connected, looking like one box section thing here. But I do want a little bit of separation and I want to deal with that issue where sometimes, no matter what you do, things don't quite line up perfectly, especially when you're putting a bunch of shapes together. So what I'll do there is I'll just add another element. Oh, good, elements is already open. I'll just put a line here. Let's drag you down. Over to the left you go, drag you all the way out to the right. No, don't be going all angly. All right, let me hit Control while I move this and get that to 0 degrees. Perfect. I don't think the white is working for me, so I'm going to switch that to black. That might be too much. There, we'll go with our purple color. And I think I might actually want another one below it. So let me just hit Control D while I have that selected. Gives me another line. I can drag it down. Now let's zoom in and make sure that things are lined up where we thought they were. And what is going on? No, that line is crooked as all get out. So let's grab our second line here and making it, there we go, 0. That's what we wanted. And I don't know about this latest. Let's see. What if we took that up a bit? And here's the problem that I run into when I put text in a shape, thinking it's going to be easier. If I want to make the text bigger, it adjusts the shape, and I guess I could come over and maybe do the line spacing. No, it's not line spacing. How about padding? Taking the padding down to 0 makes it a little bit smaller, but not what I'm looking for. So here's what we'll do. Let's go ahead, select this text. I'm going to cut that text out of there, put this box back to the size that I want it to be. Now you stay there like that. Click on text. I'll click subheading. What the heck? And then I'll select this text, paste in the text that I actually want in there. Now that's way too big. Bring that down, drag it over. Oh, we need to change the font. Yeah, we'll go Open Sans, switch it to uppercase, please. All right, drag you out just a hair here. Yeah, something like that should work. Now let's go ahead and switch that color to white. And I think something else needs to happen here. So let's go to Effects. And what if we put an outline on that? Change that outline color. Yeah, this is looking pretty daggone tacky. Not what I'm going for. Let me try my favorite, just lift. Okay, that makes it pop a little bit off of there. I like that. News is killing me up here, so I got an idea for this. We've got this sort of modern high-tech font, so let's go ahead and mix it up. Let's go ahead and copy that and paste down, and then go to effects for this one, make it hollow. Now let's copy that and put another one in. There we go. You see what I'm going for there. I'm going for that old school sort of repetition style, but I don't want the news to be bigger than the logo, I don't think. So this top one, we'll line it up with the top of the logo. The bottom one, we'll line it up with the bottom of the logo. Now I need to select all three of these rascals, and it doesn't really want to let me do that. Okay, we'll switch over to position, layers, news. Where'd my other news go? All right, I want the solid news on top, so I'm going to move it to the top, and then I have these other two. Those will be kind of behind it. That's fine. So I'm going to click on this top one. I'm going to hold shift and click on the bottom one. Now I have all three of those selected. I want to make sure that things are even here. So I'll right click, align elements. Good, center is disabled. That means they're already aligned on the center. That's awesome. I think I just want to make it a little bit bigger. Let's do that. And with them all selected, all right, I got my line that says they're centered on that. I think I'm ready to take this over to CapCut. All right, so let's get rid of this, get rid of our news guy. I told you we weren't keeping him. Now I'll take out our placeholder text because I don't want that showing up in CapCut. The more I look at my teal down here, the more I think it's just ugly as hell. So let's switch out that color. What if we made that like the purple background? All right, that's what we're going to go with. One last thing, I better make sure in my layers here that I have things positioned right. I want to make sure that these separation lines that I have, that those are on top of all the shapes, the purple, the white, the orange. Something I notice is now that I have changed this background of my news ticker line to purple, now my separator lines at purple don't really make a lot of sense. So let's go ahead and switch that. A lovely shaded dark gray will be just exquisite for that. All right, excellent. Now all we need to do is download this rascal so that we can take it into CapCut and use it. So we'll go to share and download PNG, perfect, and check the transparent background box and download. All right, back in CapCut, let's drag this rascal in. Yep, that's sort of what we had in mind. I'm also going to pull in an image that we can use to see what this looks like over top a typical news type thing. And I'm just using a picture, not a video. Again, just sort of the placeholder to see where things are lining up. All right, I think that is pretty decent. We could probably take it down a little bit. Now, I exported this graphic at full screen, 1920 by 1080, so it is covering the whole screen. It's just transparent for most of it. You can crop that if you want to make it easier to select things that are on the screen in other places. For now, I'm just going to move it down right about there. I want a little bit of the screen below peeking out, but not much. Now we need to get our ticker and our title on there. We're going to do the title first because that's going to be way easier. It's just static text. So let's come up here and click on text. Ooh, don't need all these templates. Just go to add text, default text. That'll be fine. Got to click the plus button to add it to the track. Since this is our title, I want to go ahead and stretch that for the whole clip. Let's switch our color to black. All right, now that's way too big. And instead of default text, let's put a nice little title in here. All right, we're going to want that to be uppercase. I don't know about this system font. Let's change that up a bit. We'll go with the Open Sans Bold. And I guess we need to go down a little there. Oh, that's looking pretty good. I think we'll go with that. Are we in the right place? Let's go right about there. All right, that was the easy one. Now let's work on this ticker. So I'll just add another default text. That's going to be way too big. Drag him down in. We'll go with this sans font, Noto Sans Bold. Change that to uppercase. And now we need some news stories to ticker across here. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use what I found from, where did I go? Perplexity this time. All right, now I think I have enough to do some scrolling here. All right, one more. Now what we need this to do is start off right about here, and I want it to continually scroll, but I see right away I'm going to have a problem once I get this to scroll. And I'm going to make the scroll happen with keyframes, but I'm going to have an issue here because it's going to go over top of my latest label there. There's a whole bunch of different ways to solve that problem. I could go back to Canva and just export this little block down here that says latest, and add that as a new layer on top so that as my text scrolls, it can just tuck under that. I'm going to try it a little differently though. Let's go ahead and grab this layer that has our graphic on it. And I'm going to duplicate that layer. I'm going to do Control C and Control V. And great, now I have a second layer. So this is on there twice. I want to make sure it's perfectly lined up. So I can either hit Control Z to go back to where I first added it. Once it disappears, I'll hit Control Y to make sure it's back on there. Or if I get these two things sort of out of line and can't figure it out, I can select one, hold down on Control, select the other. And then over here under Video Basic, I can look for these alignment dealies and I can say Align Center and then come over and click on Align Middle. And now they're aligned, although they're not in the right place, but that's okay. They're both selected, so I can drag them down and put them where I want. Oh, ooh, whoa, don't jump on me like that. Okay, I think right about there is where they were. Now let's take this one that is on top, and I can handle this a couple of ways. Either I can crop this or I can mask it. I think I'm going to go ahead and mask it. So on the video tab, I'm going to come over here and click mask and rectangle, drag my little rectangle down. And all I want to leave exposed out of this really is this latest. Woo, got a little crazy there. I forgot that one moves from the center. So we'll make it a wee bit smaller. No, we need to be a bit bigger now. Oh, it won't cooperate with me. Okay, come on, just a hair. We'll just come over to the properties panel, dial this in. It's at 223 wide right now. I'm going to take that down. I need you to stay over there. Yeah, that's probably close. Let's say right about there. And then we need the height to be right. That shouldn't be as tricky. All I need to do is make sure that I'm getting this little orange block with the text. I need to make sure that I've got enough of that showing that my scrolling text will go behind it. So it doesn't even have to be like perfect. I can have it down there. See, that's not the whole orange block, but that's fine because it's enough room for the text. I mean, I'm going to try and get it as close as I can. So we'll go about there. Now, the thing is, I do need to make sure that that is on my timeline above the text. So we'll go ahead and just drag it up a couple here. And if you have trouble figuring out when you got something overlaid on top of something else and you're not quite sure where the cuts are happening or whatever, you can always just click one of them. Like, let's click the one that's in the background, the big graphic here. Video Basic, and drop down the blend and then pull this opacity or opacity way down. And there, now when you're working with it, you'll be able to see what is the big underlying graphic that you're working on and what is this little cropped masked thing that you're working on. You'll be able to tell the difference so you can line them up and whatnot. All right, now I want to put my opacity back to 100. All right, great. All right, we're looking good, but now I need my ticker ticking. So let's make that happen. I'm going to click on that text layer, which is right here. And right at the beginning of this clip, I have the clip selected. I have my playhead all the way at the beginning. I'm going to come under this basic and scroll down until I find the position. Ooh, easy there. Position. And we will add a keyframe by clicking this little diamond. And my ticker text isn't covering the whole clip, so let's drag that out. Now, at the end of the same ticker text, now I want to add a new keyframe here on position. So I'll click that button again. And I want to make sure it doesn't look like my keyframe is selected down there. So let me go ahead and click on it. Cool, green, I got it selected. All right, now this is going to be where I want this to end. But one thing I want to pay attention to here is what my Y value is, because I don't really want to change things vertically up and down. I want it to stay on the same, plane there. So minus 957 is where I need to be on the Y axis. So we'll drag it over. And that's where it's going to end. And then I'll just change this to minus 957. Ooh, easy. 957. That'll make sure that it stays straight. This is how that'll work. As the video plays, my ticker text is scrolling along and it's going behind that little latest block, which is exactly where I wanted it to go, to the end of the video. Now, how fast is that going to be? I don't know. Let's play through and see. That is way too fast. So what I need to do in that case is slow it down. But if I slow it down, all my stories won't scroll. It'll go through part of them. If I cut the speed in half, it would end right about there when I still have more ticker headlines to go. So that's really going to depend quite a bit on how long this segment is. If my segment is a lot longer, say my segment is 12 seconds or wherever I just dragged that to, I'll drag everything out. Let's just select and drag. All right, now it left my keyframe at that original spot. Down here you see this keyframe. That's where I said when you hit this point, I want this text to be shifted all the way to the left. Now I'll grab that little guy, I'll drag it all the way out to the end. So now I'm telling it that that position that you end up in, where the entire text box is shifted to the left so that you're catching the end of it, I don't want that to happen back here at 4 seconds. I want that to happen out here at 12 seconds. Now let's play and see how that goes. That's looking better. It's still a bit fast. Getting this right is going to depend on the clip that I'm using it on and the amount of text that I'm trying to get across there. Let's take out a couple of these headlines that were at the end and now see what it looks like. Okay, so now what it's doing is it's chopped off the end of that text box. And so instead of the end being over here on the right side of the screen, it's now in the middle of the screen. That's not what we want. So our keyframe I can see is blue. It's selected down here. So I just need to come up and tell it that the end is here. And we got to make sure we've got our position right. Minus, ooh, I went off by 10 pixels. Minus 9. Ooh, stop that. 957. There we go. Now let's see. That's probably going to be better. Much better. That is exactly the kind of timing that I was looking for. If I want to see it without this box around it, I'll just click somewhere on the timeline that isn't selecting any of the clips or assets. Yeah, this is exactly what I was looking for. I think that timing will work good. Now, since I'm going to want to use this in multiple videos, I need to have a way to sort of save this or whatnot. So I'm going to select all of these things, all these clips. So I've got my 2 text clips. I've got my graphic, the one that's behind that has the blocks and lines. And then I have the text also. Select all that. I'm going to right click and say create compound clip or subgroup. Once that's done, I'm going to right click and say save preset. So now if I go out of this project, I create a brand spanking new project. In the media panel, I will come down here to where it says yours, drop that down. It defaults to your presets, which is where I want to be. And I'm going to click on this one, the plus button to add it in. And there we go. And now if I want to customize this for any particular video I'm making, I can always just right click on it and say undo compound clip and edit away, which I definitely will want to do because I'm going to want to change this title of whatever story is being talked about. And I'm going to want to change the ticker to have different news stories going across the ticker. If I want to spice this up a little bit more, I can always go into the text, find the news category. Since I've got a little space over here, maybe I just want to fill that up with something. I can do like a live. Yeah, let's add that one in and I'll start it at the start, stretch it all the way across. And that's going to be way too big. Scale it down a whole lot. And we can pop that on. We've got our graphics, we've got our title, our story is starting with the ticker, we've got our little live icon thing happening with the little blinking deal. I think that's looking pretty good. Let's put our news lady back in here. Here we go, drag that out to the end. All right, and this is what our newscast would look like. I think that's coming along just great. We've got the title, we've got the ticker, we've got it customized the way we want, well, the way I wanted. You might hate it. I'll probably hate it in 5 minutes too and rearrange it 15 different times. But chances are your design talents are much better than mine and you'll be able to use what we've done here, the technical parts of it, put together your artistry and make something really snazzy. Wait a minute, you were going to let me leave it like this? Come on. I got some of these headlines down here ending with a period and some of them not, and it's not in all uppercase. Come on. All right, I think I went ahead and took out the periods. Let's uppercase that. Much better, much better. Now that made my whole text deal here a little bit wider. So if I want to get the end of that story in, I'm going to have to grab onto my keyframe, bring the end right to there. Remember, we got to change that position. So back here, I keep ending up at minus 967 and it's supposed to be minus 957. There we go. Now that's what we were looking for. Man, don't let me slip on things like that. This video was kind of different. Instead of walking through one program or one feature in one application, I kind of started from a concept of I want to accomplish whatever the thing is and how would I do it? And I brought you along with me and I wasn't quite sure how some of these things were going to work. So you got to see firsthand what we did and what we bumped into and how we made adjustments. Was it too much? Would you rather just have the blip, 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 do thing 1, thing 2, thing 3, there you go? And I just tell you, hey, I went to Canva and made this thing versus taking you with me to Canva to actually make the thing to bring it back into the other thing? Let me know. I'm always having a hard time trying to balance between being thorough and being concise, and then you add into it my ability to ramble and go down rabbit holes in different design things, and it's all a thing. Anyway, if you've made it this far in the video, thanks for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you'll come see me in another one.